Yeah, folks, and welcome to another Saturday morning Samoflange. Hey, whoa, there's no um, intro today because I don't have a co-host. So I guess on co-host on co-hostless times, if you don't know, Mikey had a baby. Congratulations, Daddy Mikey. I don't expect to see him back for the rest of the year. I love Mikey. I'm happy for him. I really hope he comes back soon. Benjamin couldn't this week, and that's fine because there's always next week. He was busy, which is definitely understandable. So it's just me. And I had one that it was made for Mikey, but I knew Benjamin wouldn't enjoy it that much. So that's the one I'm going to go over today. It's top five reprinted toys. As you see, there's been a lot of toy reprints lately. I mean, it seems like everything's getting reprinted. Recently, Mask was reprinted. I loved Mask. I think way, way, way back in the day, uh, we talked about our favorite type of toys, and this was one toy collection that I wish I could have had. I think Super Friends, Star Wars, Mask. Oh gosh, what else did I have on there? Those would be the three big ones I know on toy collections we wish we had. Oh no, there's another one here that was on my list. That toy collections we wish we had in its completeness, and I can't remember what the other one was, but we did it a long time ago. Kind of our favorite toy collections when once. Oh, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I wish I had that one. Well, they reprinted the original Turtles a long time ago, and then they disappeared from shelves. I should have bought them only because back in the day, I really wanted Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. But anything with the word mutant, my mom was against. Mutant is disgusting, and they were if they would have just said Teenage Ninja Turtles, mom would have been all for it. We could have bought everything because they're just turtles. But mutant meant disgusting. So mom was one of those men from the X Men. The world of X Men who they hate mutants. Anyway, I don't know, but mom thought that was just a dirty word, and we weren't allowed to get it. And it's too bad because we love the Ninja Turtles. I remember making paper. I'll call a spade, a paper doll. I made a Ninja Turtle out of paper, cut him out, and played with them all. Now, we used to do that because we wanted Ninja Turtle toys so bad, but we were not allowed to have them. And so getting the original Core 4 would have been, and I would have taken them out of the package. I would have taken them out of the, you got to take those out of the package. I'm not someone who just collects it forever. But, oh man, that Core 4 would have been just brilliant. Just brilliant. Would have been fantastic. So, I missed out on those, and I missed out on buying a complete. Maybe not complete. Well, they were out of the box loose, so I think they were. He said it was a complete set, but it was loose out of the box. But it was a complete set of Ninja Turtles, the original toy line, and everything was out of the box because he threw away. But his mom would track down every one on the backboard and buy him it because he wanted everything Ninja Turtles back in the day. He said, and so he was saying he had all the hard to find ones or whatnot, but they were they were open and loose. But he was selling his entire collection for I can't remember how much. It was a good deal. It was a good deal for loose, and because the flea market, he was closing down his flea market, and I'd already bought I found like an awesome game for $1. I mean, the game cost, $25 or whatnot. I mean, online, even used, it's 20 or something, but he was selling it for $1, and I love that game. And but anyway, so I walk away, and I'm hemming and hawing over my wife because I'm gonna have to go to the ATM. I'm gonna have to draw out a couple $100, but the whole reason what was holding me back was I was like, what am I going to do with a complete set of turtles? Now I know I have a son now, and probably play Ninja Turtles with him. That's what I'm freaking gonna do, and I should have gotten it. Like now I'm kicking myself because he had the van, the blimp, the vehicle. He had all the vehicles and everything, the play set and everything. And he was asking he was asking a really fair price for it, but it was gonna be a couple $100, and I was just hemming and hawing, and my wife goes, get it, because big purchases like that, got to get her approval. So we ran back there, and someone was buying it. He was packing it all the way. He just bought the entire Ninja Turtle thing, and yes, big regret. But the reprints, I definitely, probably would have gotten back. I almost thought about it, but they're like $10 each, like $40 for 4 action figures is what I said back then. I was like, no, because back in the day, in my day, action figures cost $5. That price has significantly gone up. And I get it, inflation, right? It's a thing. So I'm but I was just being an old stingy man and saying no, I can't do it. But either way, there's been like the The mass toys I love, but they're way too expensive. I can't afford to collect toys right now. And what would I do with them? Play with them, pose them? Nah, come on, get out of here. They're for collectors now. But the superpowers getting reprinted by McFarlane was really good. He's come up with some new play sets, some new figures in that original core looking line. Like a Wonder Woman's Invisible Jet, which never would have sold back in the day because it was a girl jet, and girls didn't buy action figures that much. So you printed Wonder Woman, but no one really wanted Wonder Woman. I remember back in the day we kept trying to convince my little brother to buy Wonder Woman because mom would buy us a toy, and we kept saying choose Wonder Woman. But he didn't do it for the same reason we didn't do it. We didn't want to buy Wonder Woman. We didn't want to be that our one purchase for the week, month, or whatever. We wanted to get a male superhero, you know. But it would be cool to have Wonder Woman in the game. You just don't want to use one of your free toy picks for a girl. And we tried convincing him so much because we wanted one, but we didn't want to get one. I mean, we could have picked one, but we didn't want to pick one. We were picking Red Tornado and Dr. Fate and all these no-name Orion. I hated that. I didn't really care for that action figure, but I did not want Wonder Woman. I didn't want to choose Wonder Woman as my toy, a girl. So it didn't work out. But either way, when I look at that set, I'm like, man, I wish I was rich. I wish I was rich. I get them all. I get them all. I love how McFarlane Toys has brought back some of those. But there are still 5 toys that would probably, I'd be okay for them to get a reprint. And I'm looking at this now, and what is this number? Hold on, looking over my number set. That should be number 5. I've messed up my number set here. Anyway, it looks like I scratched some things out since I typed this in. But the moment I thought about this, Mikey and I were talking about it after one of our podcasts months ago, and I was like, that's a good topic. And I tried so hard, and we were trying to plan to get him over here like a week before the baby was born, but it didn't work out. He ended up being slammed, and then I haven't seen him since. I've talked to him, but I haven't seen him since. But anyway, so this was a topic mainly for him, but Benjamin would not, I don't think my friend Benjamin would care that much for this topic. So this is a topic I was saving for a rainy day. I had several topics I was going to discuss. Mikey and I were going to record like 12 podcasts together. And so I have 11 more topics. I'll probably give some with me and Benjamin. But I had 11 more. Oh, I ain't giving one to him. So I have 10 more topics that I came up with to talk to him about. I'll maybe save them for a rainy day. But definitely this one was one because, all right, I remember the moment we started, I said, let's stop talking about this. Because when we find a topic that we're going to talk about for a podcast, I say, hey, let's stop talking about it. Let's write it down. So I wrote down immediately what I wanted my top 10, my top 5 to look like for this. This was not hard at all. Now, it is a little bit cheating, maybe. Maybe I'll explain in a minute. But toys I wish were back. Okay, so are we ready? All right, so number 5 is really silly, but for some reason it means something to me. And before I was into board games, right before I was into board games, what was I collecting? Beanie Bears. Beanie Baby Bears. Back in the day, Wes from Prince of the Universe podcast and I used to work at the mall, and Beanie Babies, especially the Beanie Bears, really saved our business. We were making thousands of dollars. If I did not sell $1,000 of stuff worth a day, and I was, but some days I'd be at 900 or 800. I felt like I was wasting my day if I did not make $1,000 in sales a day at a card and comic shop. Now that's including, that was back in the heyday. Comics were selling. And you couldn't really upsell someone on a comic unless it was a trade paperback or they were buying the special edition and whatnot. But you could always upsell people on sports cards packs and whatnot. So that was my goal. I was trying to get zero in on that. However, Beanie Bears and Beanie Babies was the big thing. We'd make raking hundreds. I mean, shoot, on a weekend, dude, you're making several thousand. I remember the highest day I ever had was a $10,000 day. I sold, and I think 8,000 of that was Beanie Babies. 8.5 maybe was Beanie Babies, and then the other 1,500 was other cards. And I was like, I thought I'd gotten the record for same sales in a day, but someone told me I did not. Like I tied the record. Before Beanie Babies, someone sold $10,000 worth of stuff. Maybe so, maybe so. That's a lot of autograph material. But I remember the day started off. No, it was 10,000. It may have been more. I can't remember. I remember Mickey Mantle died. I sold all of his bats in one day. That was an easy 1,800, I think. Or no, it was higher than that. So it was an easy couple thou a day. I did instantly on one purchase. And then went from there and just started buying things. I mean, selling things left and right. But so a long time before we had kids, even my wife and I stopped by a little fair, and they had all these Beanie Bears, and they were all $1. And I went, dude, I have so many memories selling these bears, and now, I sold these bears for a minimum of $20 each, and now here they are, $1. And I was like, my wife goes, well, get some. I was like, I'll just get the two. The Princess Di Bear and the Shamrock Bear were bears we sold all the time, so I got those two. And then I put them on my shelf. Well, then, in fact, some of my early videos, you can see a bunch of Beanie Bears on the shelves back in the day. Because I had them all over my bookshelves, everywhere. They were everywhere. Now they're in boxes. But I started just getting them all. If they were $1, I'd get them. And then I started having this big collection. And then I got down to where I was like only needing like 30 bears left. Now, and some of them, I got like that McDonald's exclusive bear for like $5. That thing's worth about 30 now. Not that it's bounced back, but I got some pretty hard to kind of hard to find stuff. Now the Beanie Bears are going back up to $5, $10 now. Everyone's trying to sell junk from nostalgia. So I kind of had to back away. Because like, whoa, I'm paying, because I realized I was starting to pay $5 a bear, and I was like, nope. And I was getting more into board games, so stopped it. But they don't do the Beanie Bears, and that'd be kind of fun if they were $5 again. Obviously now, I guess with inflation they'd be higher, but it'd be nice. I remember when they did the End Bear or whatnot, and they canceled the series. I thought they'd bring it back, but to my knowledge, they haven't brought back those bean bag bears yet. So, and I don't know why they weren't that fun to play with or anything. Well, I don't know. I never played with them. My kids popped off every effing tag on them. I know the other earlier this year. They just sat there. They found the box of Bean Bears and popped. I don't know why they popped off all the tags. Not like that was gonna, they were ever gonna achieve their great value ever again. But why pop off every tag? I did not understand why my kids were doing that, but they did. But anyway, and I may let them play with them. I should go ahead, but I had them up. I used to put them up over the holidays, different types of bears, and now I haven't even touched them in years. Maybe one day I'll bring them out again. But a reprint of those would kind of be nice. Now let's get to the big ones. Number 4, Megaforce. If you don't know what Megaforce is, you're going to have to do some Google searching, folks. Megaforce was like Micro Machines, but like die-cast metal, helicopters, tanks, RVs, all this military stuff. They were all inside of a big tank or big carrier or big, plane or whatnot, and they'd come out. And they were just so cool. Look at these. Some of you may remember these from back in the day. I think this was a early 90s toy, but definitely off the shoulders of Micro Machines. Micro Machines were the big thing, and I enjoyed Micro Machines just like the next man. I played Micro Machines all the time, had a great time with it. But when it came to Megaforce, when Megaforce came out, I was like, dude, this is military Micro Machines, and they're like I said, they had some heft to them because they were die-cast metal, and they were fantastic. And everything online, by the way, all the stuff I'm going to talk about is like stupid expensive now, and that sucks. But Megaforce was a good one, and my brother, when I actually talked to him about this topic, two of my 5 were on his list, and then I mentioned my number 1. He went, "Oh yeah, I put that one on there too." But one of the ones that he named, without me naming mine first, was Megaforce, because we were both big and a lot of us were Megaforce fans. It's like that old those old PVC figures called Guts. That's another one you can look up, Guts. Those were just so cool. I remember finding out about Guts in 1989 when we moved to Louisiana. We went to go play at some other kid's house, and he had Guts, just these PVC, they strike one pose, shooting a gun usually. And I thought, dang, these people are cool. It's like the newest, coolest, upgraded Green Army men, but they were colored PVC figures. And man, I wanted them so bad. But either they weren't selling back then. Maybe this was some old toys he'd bought in the late '80s or whatnot. But I remember thinking those were the coolest. And every time we were at his house, I would always play with them. In fact, maybe we did buy some. Maybe Mom did buy, because I remember playing with those a lot. So maybe I did. But I remember being at his house and never putting down Guts. But Megaforce was kind of like in that one, like, whoa, there's something better than my Green Army Men, or in this case, there's something better than Micro Machines. Micro Machines were fun, race cars, trucks, and whatnot, but they weren't going military. And that's what Megaforce did. And boy, howdy, was it a blessing. All right, that's number 4. Number 3 was also on my brother's list as well, and it was Star Command. Star Command was, if you look those up, again, Google this stuff, man. Star Command, these little 1-inch, 2-inch characters, maybe they're probably 2 inches or whatnot. They weren't that tall, maybe 3 inches. And I don't think they were 3 inches though. I think they were maybe 2 inches. But anyway, doesn't matter. They had magnets on their feet, and there were metal plates on their plastic vehicles that they came with. Sometimes that magnet would activate something on the play set. Like I remember we had the Star Command base, and if you set them on the gun turret would move like fire. If you set them on the elevator would move up. Up the thing, or if it was already on the top, it moved down when their feet were on it. And I don't know how that kind of worked, but that magnetism they used to activate certain things. Or you could just store them on top of the wings of a plane or whatnot. So they couldn't ride in the cockpit, but they could ride on the wings or whatnot. And they could just cling on to like the tanks, You could just set them in their little metal plates there, and they'd be magnetized to it, and you'd move them around without really having to sit them in their seat. You could even flip them upside down, and they'd still hang on there because it was magnets. Pretty daggum brilliant. And I don't know the storyline. They were just all out in space fighting. I don't remember who the bad guys were either. I remember there was a cool. All of them did like certain things. Like you press a button and the hangar would open up on this little aircraft carrier. And I'd have to look at the rest of the toys to remember. But I just remember having a blasty, especially with Star Command, the big playset. We had everything. Now, I don't know who bought us this. I don't know if that was Mom and Dad's idea for a Christmas or whatnot, or my grandparents or everyone got together. But we had a ton of the vehicles and playsets and characters, and we played the bejesus out of them back in the day. I mean, we were all about some Star Command. Now, eventually it seems like all these toys from the 80s, 90s are getting reprinted. But I had to dig. Obviously, I am digging deep into, Megaforce, Star Command. You haven't heard of these. Beanie Babies is kind of a cheat. But Megaforce and Star Command, I don't know if we'll ever see reprints of those. They didn't have cartoons, like all these other ones did. They're getting reprints. So they're kind of lost out there in the nether. Not to say they'd never be reprinted, but I think the odds are way lower since more people have nostalgia with the toy line that came with the TV show. That's why it was imperative. And maybe Star Command did, and I didn't know. But that's why it was imperative for you to have a cartoon, because cartoons were just advertisements to kids to sell toys. I had no problem with that. They're thinking, oh, they're taking advantage of those poor children. Really? Did they have the money? No, they were begging their parents. And the parents, to their credit, could have said the same thing that my parents did whenever I asked for a new toy, which was no. And if I said, you know what, but for you, I'll give it a second thought. No. Repeat. And I can say no to my kids all day too. That's not a problem with me. If they haven't done anything special, they say, oh, can you get us a toy when you go out? No. Why? You've done nothing but eat my food and destroy my house. There's no financial benefit that you have bestowed upon me, just a burden. So I'm not going to get you an extra toy. And in fact, Christmas is coming up. I need to start slinging some toys in a garbage bag because we have way too. I do toy cullings. I did one late this summer, but I think there's just way more toys than I'm finding more and more toys digging through their rooms and whatnot. So may have to have another toy apocalypse. They have way too many toys. Of course, we did too back in the day. We were spoiled. I remember I found out later on that our living room was actually turned into the toy room. I thought every house had a toy room like we did, but we didn't. Now we suffered. Mom and Dad probably should have made that a bedroom, turn it with a couple of dresser drawers or whatnot to fit us all in. But they packed 4 of us into a one bedroom, and then my little brother was born and he had the crib. So I mean, it was packed. It was a 3 bedroom house, and they had mom and dad had 5 kids by the time we moved in that 3 bedroom house. Now that I'm thinking about it, maybe I should have kept my 3 bedroom house for my 4 kids. Threw them all up in bunk beds. Woo! But still, my parents' house was had more space than mine, so I didn't even have an extra living room in my old house. But either way, though, thinking about that, Star Command, excellent. My number 3. Number 2 is this is my second and final cheat on the list here, but I miss the old PVC cereal toys, the old Disney afternoon cartoon toys. I'll be honest, if I found all those for cheap on eBay, which I never will, but if I did, I'd get them in a heartbeat. I think it was like 4 Tailspin, 4 DuckTales, 4 Chip and Dale, and 4 Darkwing Duck. In a heartbeat, I used to play with those PVC cereal toys all the freaking time. I still have one that I saved a long time ago from a Fruity Pebbles box. They were giving away 4 different dinosaurs, and I got the pterodactyl, which I loved. He was brown, looking like a pterodactyl, wasn't like hot pink or anything. And I remember I called him Fuzzy, and he was one of my favorite toys. I mean, honestly, one of my favorite toys whenever I played. Fuzzy the pterodactyl. I don't know why I called him Fuzzy, but he was like the right-hand man, like the king. And he could fly. That was cool. You didn't have to walk him across the carpet all the time. He could fly. And so I thought it was so cool, and I kept him and still have him to this day. How he survived the toy purge, I probably protected him because I knew that was one toy I could get away with and kind of hold. It was like a little cereal toy because our mom and dad tore up the household to make sure we didn't hide any extra toys because no toy was going. But maybe I took Fuzzy with me. I can't remember. Anyway, somehow he survived the toy purge when we came over here to Louisiana, and I've kept him with me ever since. So never given that one up. I look at him in my attic every blue moon when I want to feel nostalgia. Why do we keep a bunch of knickknacks in our attic that we're never going to see again? I don't know why. It's a question for another podcast. Anyway, but those PVC cereal toys I played with all the freaking time. I remember we had a Fisher-Price airplane. I'd put the Rescue Rangers in the Fisher-Price airplane, fly around, have adventures with them. Of course, Scrooge McDuck and Launchpad McQuack, and I can't remember who the other two was. I want to say Gizmo Duck and someone else. They flew around in that thing and had adventures. We had Don Carnage was a villain who was in the Tailspin one. We didn't have all the Tailspins. We had Baloo, Kit, and Don Carnage. But we played with them, and Kit was cool because he was on his little glider, so he could kind of fly around. And then Darkwing Duck, we didn't have any of those for some reason. I really wanted the Darkwing Duck one. I thought Darkwing Duck was super cool. We may have had one of his toys back in the day. But either way, though, flying around in that little Fisher-Price airplane, playing with my PVC cereal toys was just a cherished memory, something I just always enjoyed. And I know there's like some law they can't put toys in cereal boxes again because then it entices children to buy their cereal. Screw it. Again, parents, say no. I say we let toys back in cereal boxes. Go for it. That was fun. Dude, to be honest, if they put toys back in it, I would buy. It incentivized me to buy things, but put little prices in there. Now, of course, back in the day, they used to put it inside the cereal, and then, which was really fun, but probably dangerous. And then they started putting it outside of the package, But back in the day, now I know we've talked about this on Saturday Morning Samoflange, but digging your hand into a fresh box of Corn Pops. You're sticky, you're a kid, you probably didn't wash your hands when you went to the bathroom. In fact, I'm positive you didn't. And then you're digging your nasty hand, all touching every cereal kernel that you can, just to get that PVC toy first. And then the box is blown up because your hand's been in it, and the cardboard's been blown up. Your parents are pissed because they know what you did. There's bits of cereal everywhere because you didn't pick it all up. But you got that PVC toy, man, and that's what made it all worth it. You don't even wanted the cereal anymore. The cereal was, it had been deflowered by your unsanitized hand. and you had taken the prize, the PVC toy. Oh my goodness. Okay, TMI. But that was a good feeling. That was a good feeling to get that. And I remember my parents would never let us get that toy. We had to wait till we woke up, and we tried to wake up as early as we could the next day, because whoever woke up first got the toy. And you would try to be super quiet, because I was in there with all my brothers. And so when I'd wake up, I would be super quiet, and I'd sneak down the stairs, and then I'd get the toy real quick. And sometimes I'd wake up and look and see my brother gone, and I'd race down the stairs only to find him playing with the newest cereal toy, or his hand was already in the box. And once your hand's in the box, that's it. It's practically yours. I'm like, no, I wanted that toy, because it's your toy if you pulled it out of the box for some reason. So stupid. And then Dad would be pissed. That cereal box would be blown up. Because you just voted it, stretched it open. Oh man, bits of cereal everywhere. Good time, and then we'd eat it. This cereal kind of tastes like piss. Oh, good times. But anyway, yeah, recreate. Again, I can't. Every blue moon, I'll look on eBay for stupid crap that I don't need. And when I saw that, I was like, dude. But you can't find them on. If you do find a set, everyone wants way too much. Maybe if I found it at a flea market or a garage sale and dug through them and got a handful of them, I'd probably get that just to kind of put them up. But yeah, they'd be fun if they started doing that for cereal boxes again. Anyway, all right, so the last one, number 1, I had no doubt about it. When my brother heard about it, he went, oh yeah, that's a good one. I'd do that one too. Reprint Muscles. I remember Muscles was one of the ones when we said, top 5 toy collections we wish we had. I want to say Muscles was not at the top, but close to it. It was number 3, maybe behind Superpowers and Star Wars. I'd like to have those complete sets. But I'd like to have, in fact, one time, I've told this story probably before on the podcast a long time ago, but I'll tell it again. I don't care. It's just me. I found an entire collection of muscle toys. I was so uber excited, and I wanted to bid for it, but I thought, why would I ever need that? Now, in the past few years, I've never come across it before. I came across it twice back in the day, and that was back before the prices were too outrageous. And so I could have bought it, but I was like, why? And now I do regret both times passing on it, because the original Muscles, words cannot describe how many memories of my childhood were playing with Muscles. In fact, my parents still have a old, I think it's a Fisher Price or Little Tikes wheelbarrow. It's so weird to see that wheelbarrow face up. It looks like a different toy, because we always turned it upside down, because it had these little caveats and holes and pockets on the bottom, and we use that as its spaceship. That was the Muscle spaceship for years. I don't even remember that wheelbarrow being on all fours until Mom and Dad had grandchildren. That thing always was upside down, because we would play Muscles on it all the time, and grabbing cardboard boxes from Sam's, which is kind of weird. They'd let you grab a few cardboard boxes, and we'd grab some and we'd turn them into spaceships. Old school, baby. Old school way to play with toys. Everything was a toy back then. And we'd color on them, color like little buttons and radars and monitors and screens and whatnot, and then play with our muscle figures. And we never had a complete collection, but we wanted them. And we used to buy them in the little trash bins and the 4-pack. Every way we could get them, we'd try to buy them. In fact, my brother and I have shared a great story one time. One of our best memories is biking to Fred's Pharmacy back when we were kids. And, we'd pop open those garbage pails and stuff as many Muscles as we could. And I remember one time the lid popped off when we were getting checked out. It was just us. My mom just let us bike to the store. This is the 80s. And when it popped off, my brother was like panicking. And she went, uh-oh, do you still want it? You want to get another one? He went, no, I'll take that one. She didn't know that we were stuffing other Muscles in those garbage pails. But boy, howdy, did we love them. And to have those reprinted again would be super cool. And I wish they'd reprint them as a complete collection. I'd probably pay that price for them. It'd probably be a pretty penny, but I'd probably pay the price for it just because I want them so much. But Muscles, the old ones, or if they recreated new, I know they did some like WWE ones a while back. I thought that's kind of neat, but I'd rather just have the funky, stupid, silly looking ones instead. But anyway, all right, so that's it. That's it for my solo one. Hey folks, let me know in the comments below what toy reprints do you wish you had, or do you wish they would recreate? And I'll see you next time on Saturday Morning Samoflange.